Welcome to How to Be a Person, a podcast about life with me, your host, Giuliano Grimaudo. All right, Cindy, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. So, we don't know each other, and I don't know
Nope.
too much about you. I know a little bit, but I would love to, hear a little bit about your story, and I'll kind of ask you some questions as we go.
You betcha. Well, let's start at the beginning, I
Okay.
suppose. I grew up on a farm in rural Alberta, Canada. I had 18,000 chickens. That's 6.3 million eggs a year.
Whoa.
I've dubbed myself the fastest egg picker in the West. And I had a really happy childhood until I was 16 years old. And my dad was ripped out of our lives. He died suddenly of a heart attack. And it turned our lives completely upside down.
How old was he?
Being that he was 48 years old,
Okay.
way too soon.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
also the healthiest man I had ever met.
Mm,
But he was a farmer, and you got to work your butt off.
mhm,
And it's very stressful, and the stress killed him.
mm.
So, being 16 years old and not having a lot of support, my mom was devastated. I proceeded to make a series of very poor decisions. You name the bad decision, I've made it, including hot wiring a D8 cat and jumping it over the railway
Oh God.
tracks.
Okay.
There's so much to uncover here.
Sure.
But what ended up happening is I started hanging out with the wrong people. And it started with weed, and then it just escalated from there to 3 years of extreme cocaine addiction. I was going for a week without food, without sleep. I weighed 100 pounds less than I do today. I was skin and bones. And I wasn't actively trying to kill myself, but I was definitely not wanting to live.
Yeah.
But during that time, my family kept telling my mom, you got to kick her out of the house. She needs tough love. You got to send her to rehab. And bless my mother, she knew better because she knew that would never work for me. And so she kept me in her home. She kept feeding me. She kept giving me money. She kept making sure that I was alive.
Mm.
And she kept saying to me over and over and over again, I love you, but I don't love your actions.
Mm.
And one day I finally heard it. We were having a fight, and all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, somebody actually loves me.
Mm.
Hang on. What am I doing to my life? And I hit my knees. I asked for help in that moment, but I didn't do traditional help.
Okay.
Typical rule breaker. My mom and I called a friend of mine who had helped people with this before, and I went to his cabin in the woods. He took away my car keys and my cell phone. And I literally laid on his couch for 3 weeks and smoked weed and ate soup and slept.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
The drug that got me into it was also the one that got me out. Because, I mean, it helps with appetite, it helps with anxiety, it helps with sleep. And so I used it as a way to remove myself from the cocaine.
Interesting.
But after that 3 weeks was over, I was like, so what am I going to do? Just go right back to what I was doing? That wasn't going to work for me. So I had some decisions to make. I decided to move to a country that has the death penalty if you do drugs.
Really?
I moved to Indonesia for a year.
Damn.
That was extreme. I don't recommend
Burn the boats, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
I don't recommend it as a strategy, but it worked. It was awful. I hated every minute of it. I almost died actually while I was over there. I ended up with bronchitis for 9 months out of the 12 that I was there.
Wow.
And ended up with pneumonia. And I was stubborn, didn't want to go to the doctor. So that was interesting. Never told my mom until afterwards. Oops. Then I met this very cute boy, Kenyan boy, on the dance floor. So I moved to Dubai because I wasn't ready to go home. So he said, why don't you come and live with me in Dubai? And I said, sure, why not? But then my mom ended up having some pretty life-threatening surgery, and my uncle passed away. At this point, I'd lost all 4 grandparents, 2 uncles. Everybody was just dying in my family. So I wasn't equipped. I had not done therapy. I had not done anything. I had no emotional mastery whatsoever. I never went to anybody's funeral. I just avoided death in all shapes and forms. But I realized at this point it was time for me to come home. I had been, while I was overseas, studying spiritual studies, I suppose. I was looking for answers.
Sure.
So I decided to read the Quran front to back because living in Dubai, I was interested in what that religion was about.
Okay.
I read the Bible front to back. I started studying Brendan Burchard, T. Harv Eker, Tony Robbins, you name them. I've listened to their audios and taken their courses and studied everything.
So you knew my burn the boats reference then.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I came home and didn't really know what I was doing with my life. So I ended up in Saskatchewan pipelining, which is notorious in Canada, where it's an industry where you make a lot of money. You don't know what to do with the money. And so what do? You go do drugs.
Yeah.
And so I saw myself slipping back into old habits, and I ended up getting a DUI and lost my driver's license for a year. And it was another little snap wake up call for me. So I ended up moving and found myself bartending at this dive bar. So bad that I had a baseball bat behind the bar to protect myself for when I closed the bar at night by myself.
Jeez.
And I didn't actually have to swing the bat, but I had to threaten with it one night. And I got in my car that night and I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? I'm 35 years old at this point. I've got nothing to show for myself. Relationships burned to the ground, physical, emotional, mental abuse, drug abuse, you name it. It was awful. And I thought, there's got to be more to life than this. And a song came on the radio that changed my life forever. It's a song called I Am the Fire by Hailstorm. And in that song, there's a line that says, you are the one you've been waiting for. And something clicked. It was like those moments you have, right? Where something just clicks and you're like, oh my God. So I went home that night and obsessively started researching career changes. What can I do with my life? I'd never held a job for more than a year at this point. And so I decided to go back to school as a mature student for event and promotions management. And at this point, I got $250,000 education from the T. Harv Ekers and Brendan Burchards of the world. I knew how to do the online business thing, but had never implemented it. So I go to college. Turns out I hated that too. So I decided halfway through my college year that I was going to start my own business. So I started a business as a virtual assistant. And so I was the one doing all the websites and the tech behind the scenes. And part of our curriculum was that we had to volunteer at events as part of event and promotions management. So I decided to put myself in a room that had all my ideal clients. So I went to this event with about 150 people. Women who were coaches, they were speakers, they were making six figures a year, exactly who I wanted to support, and built my business off the backbone of that event. I walked out of that event with 8 new clients.
Wow.
And hated that too. Turns out, so I was behind the scenes, right? Doing all the tech, organizing everybody else's life, helping these women get on big stages and make sure that they were making the money that they wanted to make. And yet I was miserable. I was drinking myself to sleep every night. I was fighting with my boyfriend at the time. I was just like, what am I doing with my life? And at that event, I met this woman who I'm no longer associated with, but she was talking about numbers. And I thought, what is this woo-woo? I don't know. Numerology? It's a little far-fetched. So I just started listening to it. Something pulled me in. So she was doing a daily broadcast on Facebook Live every single day for like 5-10 minutes, talking about the energetics of each day. And as I started to listen to it more and more, it started to, hang on a second, there's something to this. Wait a second, that's exactly how my day went. And then I started doing some more research and realized the universe is nothing but a big, giant mathematical equation filled with numbers. Numbers speak to us in the Bible, the Quran, they are everywhere. So I asked her for a reading, and for the first time since I was 16 years old, I felt seen. And I knew who I was again. So that started my journey of all the numerology and universal law and how does the universe work.
Mm,
And 7 years later, lifted my head out, realizing I was in a cult.
mm,
Got myself out of that, but now have all of that knowledge and that wisdom to carry forward into the work that I do today.
wow. Now that is a story.
There's a lot to unpack there. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first thing, I mean, I'm going to try to remember it all too. But when you shared what happened when your dad died when you were 16, um, I feel like losing a parent is hard at any age,
Mhm.
but especially at that age.
Yeah.
I had something similar, not exactly the same, but similar happen where I was right around that age and my mom had a heart attack. And it
Mm.
was kind of the same thing where she was not overweight. She wasn't unhealthy in any way. Um, but she had a heart attack and she technically did die.
Mm.
They had to, they were performing CPR on her for a very, very, very long time to get her resuscitated. And when you tell me about what happened with your dad, um, it takes me back to thinking about that moment, like, right, like when I was 16 years old and to have potentially lost a parent at that age. I'm sure it was extremely difficult, right? Obviously, based on what you said and the direction you went, it was
It's
not,
a hot
it was
mess.
obviously very, very bad.
Yes.
um, um, so I'm curious because obviously, like you said, you've had like a really roller coaster of a journey since then.
Mhm.
Um, like, do you have anything that you would share with someone who has gone through that, maybe who has lost a
Mm.
parent at a young age?
Yeah, one of the things that I teach, because I've done it myself, is to move beyond the trauma. We live in a society right now where we are trained to hold on to our trauma, to use our trauma as a bit of a badge of honor. Like,
Mm,
well, I was abused, so this is why I am the way I am,
mm,
right? And
yeah.
I think that's a load of hoo-ha. um, was it easy? No. It's probably the hardest work I've ever had to do in my life is to move beyond that.
Mm,
But the thing is, I've never met a single human on the planet who hasn't experienced trauma in some way, shape, or form.
yeah.
There is no trauma that's worse or easier or anything. We
Mm,
are, I think, as human beings, we're designed to learn how to be more resilient by moving through it and healing ourselves and taking responsibility for our response and our
mm,
reaction to that trauma and decide what to do with it from there. And so I've taken mine and turned it into a 7-time International Film Festival award winning film so that I can help people and show people that there's something so much better on the other side.
yeah.
So if one of your listeners, any of your listeners are out there and they're like, but I've had this thing, what do I do? The
Yeah.
first thing you do is be aware that you can move beyond it
Mm,
and then actively seek out the help that you need
yeah.
to move.
Yeah. Something I've noticed as well, like you said, is that whether it's like trauma you've been through or even like health issues or something like that, people tend to identify with those things instead
Yeah.
of just using them as a tool, right? Like, because if you're diagnosed with something or you've been through something, like you can acknowledge it, right? It's not like
Yeah.
this is not saying like don't acknowledge it,
No.
but it is not a label to wear and to make your identity going forward. It's a tool. It's something you put in the toolkit to go, okay, cool, this is something that I
Yes.
have, and let me figure out what I can do to, depending on whether we're talking about a health thing or something you've experienced, is that
Mhm.
what do I need to do to be able to move forward from this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just talking to someone else recently about this where because I myself have been through quite a journey, and
Mhm.
I am also just extremely happy, right? There's people and
Mhm.
they will acknowledge, they're like, how are you how are you this happy and you have such a good life now, like despite all these things?
Mhm.
Like most people would never guess what I've been through, and actually people tend to dismiss what I say because I'm so happy. They're like, you must not have been through whatever. And I'm
Right?
just like,
No way
you
that
have
happened
no
to you.
clue. You have no clue, but that's okay. That's okay. No, for me, if anything, it's a compliment because it means that like I have, you know, I'm not gonna say anybody's 100% healed, right? But I feel like I
Yeah.
have healed and learned and grown and made those things, or allowed those things to make me better. But I'm saying all this to say that I believe that the people that continue to wear those things as a badge of honor, like you said,
Mhm.
ironically, haven't faced those things.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if they have to carry it with them because
Mhm.
it's almost like you imagine it to be like a package, you know? It's like you got this
Mhm.
package and of course you're carrying it with you everywhere. You haven't
Yep.
opened it up yet, right? Like you're
Yeah.
walking around with it. Everyone goes, "What's that package?" You're like, I haven't opened it, but yeah, it's this thing that I went through." And you're like, "Dude,
Let it go.
you gotta open it up." Right.
Yeah.
You have to feel the feelings. You have to process
Yeah.
it. You have to, right. Whatever. I'm not saying anybody should do any particular thing. Right. But if you feel like, hey, it's to go to therapy or, hey, I want to read books about this or blah, blah, right. Whatever it is. But the point
Mhm.
is that I do really feel like if you are being plagued by something that you have been plagued with for years, it is likely because you have not actually faced that thing. You've taken it and been like, this is what I have. This is what I have. But you haven't
Yeah.
opened it up and fully processed it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is actually a lot of the work that I do with my clients is to unpack some of this stuff because my
Mm,
Lord, it's heavy.
yeah.
Why would you carry it around? It's so dang heavy,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But there's a tribe in, I'm not sure where they're from, the Sufi tribe, that they
Okay.
believe that holding on to these things only creates toxicity in your own body.
Mm,
Right now, there's been things that have happened to me, physical abuse,
yeah.
where I have actually gone and sat down and had coffee with my abuser
Mm,
because I was able to look at it and let it go.
mm,
The idea of forgiveness or acknowledgement or acceptance, whatever word you want to use to
mm,
say, I've looked at it and unpacked it,
mm,
and then I've let it go, actually restores your ability to give and receive from life again.
mm.
So when you're carrying that big old heavy load of
Yeah.
stuff, you're not able to give to others,
Yeah.
nor are you able to receive from others. And so we just perpetuate the same patterns over
Mm,
and over and over again because you're literally carrying this thing that's taking up rent in your space, in your energy field, in everything you do. And the person who you might be blaming for doing that to you isn't thinking about it at all. So you're only doing harm to yourself.
yeah.
Forgiveness, acknowledgement, acceptance, it's not about letting the other person off the hook for what they did. That's not up to us. We're not God. I'm not the judge of the grand judge that gets to decide.
Mm-hmm.
Karma will have its way.
Mm,
But if I'm holding on to something in resentment or anger or frustration or grief or any of those, and I'm choosing to hold on to it because it's my badge of honor and this is what happened to me,
mm-hmm.
instead of thinking this happened for me so that I could grow and evolve and
Mm,
become stronger and more resilient, all I'm doing is harm to myself.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the greatest act of self abuse you could ever do.
Mm. When you say happening for you, I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard it like, obviously a million times to go from it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. I'm
Mhm.
curious of your personal take on it. When you say that it happened for you, do you mean intentionally or do you mean that you're simply able to benefit from it
A
or
little bit of
both?
both.
Okay.
A
Yeah.
little bit
So,
of both.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I believe in destiny. I believe
Okay.
that there is a creator, a higher power. I don't believe in the God in the Bible, but I do believe that there is some sort of energy force out there that
Yeah.
has intentionally created us. We're not just random.
Mm,
And I believe that there is a whole methodology to that connects us all, that
mm,
makes, when I heal, you heal. When you
mm,
heal, I heal, because we're
mm,
all connected, and so it's our responsibility to do the healing to make the world a better place. And
mm.
unfortunately, our society is not teaching that.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
mainstream anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say is that it's not necessarily mainstream, but I feel like the more people I talk to, the more I realize are out there that feel the same way that,
Yeah.
like you said, at, let's say at a core level that we're all connected and that the better we are as individuals, the better we are as people, as like a group of people, like human beings.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more work that you do on yourself, the more you actually give permission to other. I mean, it's so cliche, right? The more you shine your light, the more you give permission for others to do the same. But it's true. And we can look at the science to see that we're all connected. There's been studies done on people who come together in meditation, and the crime rate in the city goes down. Like, you can't make that stuff up. Right. And so if you're somebody who really just wants to be of service and create a better world, you want the world to be a better place, you want more love in the world, you want more peace in the world, then take care of you first. It's like, we've got to start taking care of ourselves, because that's the greatest act of love we can do, not only for ourselves, but for the world.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. I wasn't expecting the conversation to go in this direction, but it is an interesting, no, it's a really interesting point. And I've been talking to my wife about this a lot lately, because it is hard to avoid all of like the social media posts about what's going on in this country and what's going on in that country. And you need to care about it and do something about it. And if you're not, you're complicit and all of these things. And I'm not saying people saying that are wrong. I don't take a hard stance on anything to say like, I'm right and you're wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
But I will say, with all of that, it is very hard not to get sucked in and feel like you have to care about all those things and have to do all of these things, like do things to like fix it, you know? But I also am in agreement with you, right? Where I feel like ultimately, see, this is the thing, right? You can't make every single person in the world do this. All right. But theoretically speaking, if every single person on the planet was like, I am going to do the right thing and I'm going to be a better person and make the world a better place, like everything would instantly be fixed. Now, I'm not saying that is the fix. What I'm saying is that, just like you said, the more you improve, right, the more you become that type of person who is loving, kind, caring, right? Like that emanates out to the people around you. Therefore, if enough of us did it, that would actually happen, right?
Absolutely.
It could get to that point, and all of those problems would essentially solve themselves.
Exactly. I think that's so, I mean, you can see it in the small little things that you do, right? You go to the grocery store and you're in a bad mood, and then you take that out on the cashier, and then the cashier goes home that night and takes it out on their kid or their spouse, and it just ripples, right?
Yeah.
Well, the opposite is true. If you go to the grocery store and you choose consciously to behave as a loving, integral human being, and instead of yelling at the cashier, you smile at them.
Yeah.
That smile goes home to their kids, to their spouse, which then ripples out to the spouse's boss the next day. And it creates this ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Now, I want to be very clear, though. This is something that I see in the spiritual world a lot, where it's like this, I've got to ascend. I've got to become this like perfectly shiny human being that never, ever makes a mistake. And that is also a load of hoo-ha.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You are a human being. And I think this is where there's a lot of disconnect in the spiritual world, where I see people are like, well, I'm more spiritual than you because I'm a better person, right? And that's like,
oh, dear.
You can't, the whole purpose of being human is to learn how to embody being human, which means that you get to feel angry and have a bad day. You get to feel sad and lay in bed all day. But what will you choose to do with that? Are you going to sit there and wallow in it, or are you going to get back up and make yourself have a better day the next day? It's not about, I always say this, I have 2 kittens and I have light catchers in my windows. So it is literally rainbows and kittens in my house. But life isn't always rainbows and kittens. You get to have a bad day. It's okay. And I think there's a big disconnect there, where we're all supposed to be love and light and everybody's supposed to be happy all the time. And if you're not, there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're human. You're supposed to feel angry. You're supposed to get upset and feel sad. That's part of being human.
Yeah. Part of being human. There's a spectrum that of humanity, right? Where it's like there are different feelings, and all of those feelings exist on a spectrum, and being human is experiencing that full spectrum.
Exactly.
What I will say is interesting is, you know how you were saying before, like, you know, going out and purposely being nice and smiling and doing whatever. I think some people will approach it and be like, well, but if I'm not happy, right? Like, well, I'm supposed to just be nice and blah, blah. Like there's a bunch of things in my life to be upset about. But I believe that it actually comes down to, okay, before you were talking about how you're like, I was able to sit and have coffee with my abuser, right? And you want to say things like acceptance and forgiveness and all that stuff. I actually truly believe that we can get to a point of even appreciation, being able to look at what we've been through and realize that we are who we are right now because of everything we've been through. I wouldn't be the person I am without everything I've experienced up until this moment. And because of that, what was that?
1,000,000%.
Yes. Okay. So I'm saying all of that to say, when someone is like, well, I just have to force myself to be happy. It's like, no, actually, if you can find things to appreciate in your past and in your current experience, that comes naturally.
Yeah.
Right? Being nice to people comes naturally. See, this is the thing. I agree. I don't believe that people should be happy all of the time. Granted, that is a good feeling to experience, right? I will say, as a human, I love being happy, and quite honestly, I'm happy most of the time. Like, I would go as far as saying like 99% of the time, I'm very happy. But also, again, in my past experience, that was not always the case. Right now, it is, and that's where I'm speaking from. Is that I believe where that comes from is finding things to appreciate about your experience in the past and right now, and when you do that, being happy is just a natural byproduct of having that appreciation. So, sorry, I was just sharing that because I feel like I know some people be like, well, what, I was supposed to just like try to be happy? Well, yeah, you could, right? Like it's scientifically proven when you smile, you will actually feel happier, even if you're forcing yourself to smile. But you also don't have to force it. If you force yourself to find something to appreciate again, and then you will end up in that place.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up because I think, society says, well, positive thinking, the power of positive thinking. And yes, that is true. But you can't also just go out and be like, I'm so grateful and fake it, right? Because if you're not feeling gratitude for something, it's like putting a Band-Aid on an open wound. It's not going to do much good, right? So and I love that you brought up the facing the abuser thing, because I think this is what I was able to do and how I was able to go and sit down with him from a place of gratitude. And I thank him all the time. Like, thank you so much. Because I know that made me the person that I am today. I've got street smarts and you cannot with me. I know exactly who I am. I am strong. I am resilient. I know that I can bounce back. And I never would have been that person if I hadn't experienced that. But did I feel grateful for that in the moment? No. Absolutely not. And so this is where the whole forgiveness and gratitude thing needs to play together, because if you're just trying to plug gratitude on top of your trauma, it won't work.
Yeah.
You're like carrying around this bag of whatever, and then you're going to be like, now I'm going to add gratitude on top of it. It just gets heavier because you can't actually feel the gratitude until you unpack the dang suitcase and look at what's inside. Yeah. And then you can be grateful for it.
Yes. Okay, that's exactly it. It's like step 1, feel the fucking feelings, okay? Step 2, appreciate them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. Okay, I will say too, because I want to bring this up because you mentioned gratitude. And one shift that I made in my life was I used to do a gratitude journal every day, and I used to talk about like how gratitude is so important. And I don't disagree with that statement, but also I made a shift in my mind because maybe about a year ago or something like that, I heard this description where gratitude, like when you say you're grateful for something, it almost carries this feeling of as if like you don't deserve it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that I have this. Because right, you get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying it does every time, but I will say that there are times where it feels like that. I was raised super religious. I'm not anymore, but you were constantly taught that you had to thank God for everything because you don't deserve anything. And everything he's given to you is a gift that you don't deserve. you know? And
That's heavy.
yeah. And so, but I mean, look, we have to be honest here. That is what the Bible says. Okay.
Yep.
The Bible says you are the love you get from God is undeserved. Okay. And it's a gift from him. That's what is taught in the Bible. And we could go down a huge rabbit hole here. Okay. But what I'm saying is that I found that the word gratitude, saying I'm grateful, can sometimes carry this feeling of not deserving that thing that I'm grateful for. And like, gosh, I'm just so grateful because I don't deserve it. But what I found also was this new word, appreciation. And I've known that word for a long time, obviously. But what I'm saying is that with the word appreciation, I believe that that word also exists on a spectrum, meaning I can appreciate something and not even be happy about it. Right. You know how sometimes you talking to someone, you go, like, I can appreciate that. Right. I can appreciate where you're coming from. Okay. So when if you go through something and you're like, this thing was terrible, you can still appreciate it. Right. You're like, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate what came out of that. I can appreciate how that led to where I am right now. I can appreciate X, Y, Z. But appreciation can also carry the same feeling of gratitude, the positive end of it, right? Where you're like, man, I appreciate that so much. But there's no feeling of you don't deserve it. You go, man, I appreciate it so much. It's so good. And that's, I'm just sharing the shift in perspective that I made to the word appreciation. And I hope that it's helpful for anybody listening. So
yeah, absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was when you mentioned how you went about dropping your cocaine addiction. Actually, no, before that. Okay.
Yep.
Your mom. Okay. When you said your mom didn't do the things that people say you're supposed to do, which is kick you out or send you into rehab or all those things. And I have been in a very, let's say, like immediate family members in that similar situation. And I've had to be on that end of it, being like, no, we have to, tough love and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm curious, because you said, my mom was like, she knew that wouldn't work for me. Do you believe that that's unique to you? Or do you believe that in general, people are going about this the wrong way?
I believe in general, people are going about this the wrong way.
Okay.
Yeah. I have very strong beliefs around addiction because I've been there, and it is a choice. It's not a disease.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Dropping the fire. Oh my gosh. Yeah. What a bomb. Tell me more. Yeah. Tell me more. Just to be clear, I'm reacting this way because I actually agree with you to a certain extent, but like, please explain yourself.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to speak my truth. Ultimately, the minute that I snorted a line of cocaine up my nose, I made a choice.
Okay.
And every time I did it again, I made a choice. And when it comes down to it, as a human being, you are responsible for your own fucking actions. So what action will you choose next? And next and next? What action will you choose in every moment? You can choose to get the help you need, or you can choose to use your addiction as a crutch and say, well, I have a disease, so it's an excuse. And I know for some out there that might be pretty triggering.
Yeah.
But I've walked the path, and I know what it's like to get out with very unique help and support.
Yeah.
But I also know what it's like to be in that addictive place where you think nobody loves you. And when you've got all of your family saying, get out of the house, I can't speak to you anymore, I'm going to lock you away in a rehab center and not visit you for however long they do that. How is that helping?
Yeah.
That's not love.
Yeah.
My mom poured her love upon me. She poured her love into me. And every single day it broke her heart.
Yeah.
But 3 years later, I finally fucking heard it.
Yeah.
And I went, oh. And at that point, I was able to take the torch and start loving myself and start making better choices for myself.
Yeah. I think, what's tough is, like I told you, I've been very close to a situation like that. And I think the justifications that you make in your head are that this is hard, but also this is what the person needs. And I'm not saying that like you even personally might feel that way, but that's what is put on you, right? It is like, this person needs tough love. And Yeah, I agree with you. I am not sold on that being the case.
Yeah. I
um,
mean, we need tough conversations,
yeah,
but what does tough love even mean?
true.
Like, have a hard conversation with me and be honest, but being
True
honest
love,
is the
right?
most
Love.
loving thing you can do.
Yes,
But
honest
what
love.
the
That's
fuck
exactly
is
it.
tough love? That I
Fuck
don't
tough
even
love.
understand.
Yes. Let's plant our flag there. Okay. Fuck tough
Yes.
love.
Yeah.
Honest love
Honest
is
love.
what's needed.
Yeah.
So one of the other things I'm curious about, do you feel like that's true for all types of addiction, including alcohol?
Yes. What I will say is I have no experience with harder drugs like heroin and meth, so
Okay.
I don't have an opinion on that.
Okay.
But when it comes to alcohol, when it comes to weed, when it comes to cocaine, any of those things, I mean, honestly, social media is an addiction,
Mm,
also a choice,
yeah.
right? There's so many things that we're addicted to. We're addicted to coffee and chocolate and sugar and everything
Food.
else,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so if we look at it from that perspective, I have a choice as to whether or not I sit here and stare at this on my phone while I'm on a hot date with my fiance,
Mm,
or I have a choice to put it down and connect with another human being.
yeah.
I have a choice as to whether or not I decide I'm going to numb out all my emotions and go smoke
Mm,
up, or if I'm just going to sit in the discomfort for a little while and feel my fucking feelings,
yeah.
right? As
Yeah.
any human being can do hard things. And yes, it's hard. I am not sugarcoating that. There's the
Yeah.
honest love.
Yeah.
It is not easy, but everybody can do it.
Mm,
And I do believe, because I don't have an opinion about harder drugs because I've never done them.
okay.
I had one of my best friends OD'd on heroin, um, but I believe she had a choice.
Mm,
She had a choice to either ask for help or do what she did.
yeah. When someone is addicted to like drugs or alcohol, it is really interesting that the typical route to go is to take on the label of being an addict.
Oh my God, seriously? Like, we talk about this all the time. When you say I am, you are taking upon that thing, right?
Yeah.
We use this in manifestation all the time. I
Yes.
am someone who does this. I am this. I am that. Okay, so what are you going to do? You just be an alcoholic for the rest of your life?
Yes. Okay, look, again, my experience comes from people close to me and not myself, okay, when it comes
Mhm.
to alcohol addiction, drug addiction, okay? But this is exactly what my thoughts have been the entire time. Was like every time you say, "My name is so and so and I'm an alcoholic." You're like, "What are you doing?
Claim
What are you
ownership.
doing? Don't say
Claim
that."
ownership, right? Yeah. This is why I've always said I am an ex cocaine addict.
Mm.
I don't even say I am not a recovering addict. I
Yeah.
am not a recovered addict. I am an ex cocaine addict. There is a line in the sand because why would you claim ownership of that over and over and over again?
Yeah. Do you know, I'm curious because people will identify as an addict, okay?
Hmm.
But we were talking about this earlier about not fully feeling the experiences you've had. And part of me wonders if these people who are identifying as addicts, how many of them, if not 100% of them, have had something that they've experienced that
Oh,
they are not facing.
of course. Yeah.
I would
We're
like to
numbing
know.
out.
I actually would like to know. And I'm not
No.
saying I'm right. I'm saying I have a very strong feeling I'm right. And I would like to
Yeah.
know the numbers to confirm I'm right.
Right.
But it does make you wonder, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even if we look at, let's say, pharmaceuticals, for example, antidepressants. My family is notorious for going down the antidepressant road.
Mm,
And almost always it's because something happened 6 to 8 months before that
mm.
they didn't unpack. And then they fell into a depression and they didn't want to feel their feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so I want to be clear to anybody listening. Like none of this is coming from a place of judgment. Ultimately, every single human being is living this experience, trying to just figure out what everything is and what's the right thing to do and all that. And that's why we're having this conversation. This is not coming from a place of, you idiots, you need to change this and do whatever. No. I'm trying to figure it out. That's why I'm talking it out. That's how I figure things out. So
that's how we all figure things out.
Yeah. So I will say that I hope that anybody who is having that experience of addiction, maybe they do hear this and think, oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, there is this thing I've been shoving down and I've been refusing to feel and to pass through and come out the other end. But it is possible, right? It is possible to do that.
Absolutely.
And when you mention like the depression thing, man, yeah, this is part of what I feel. I think that medicine has had an amazing effect on humanity. Okay. But also at the same time, the diagnosing of people that you are this, or you have this thing that's just been thrust upon you and there's nothing you can do about it. And the only solution is medication. Man, that pisses me off. That really pisses me off, because it's exactly what you said. I'm not a doctor, okay, so I'm not going to say this with 100% certainty, but I will say that from my experience, what you are saying is correct. Is that if you are feeling depressed, there's a reason. There is a reason. It's never just no reason. And it could be something that you've experienced, right? That you we've been talking about, that you haven't felt fully and processed. But another part of it too is just like, maybe you're not living. So I believe it's either an experience that you've been avoiding, feelings that you've been avoiding, or a misalignment that you're not willing to admit.
Yeah.
Because so many people, and again, not from a place of judgment, because I did this too for a very long time, but so many people are living the life that they're expected to live.
Absolutely.
And not the life that they feel compelled to live.
Yeah.
And I have a friend of mine who just recently made like a really big life decision. And I was talking to him, and it's been a couple months, and he was like, man, I'm so happy. He's like, bro, all of my anxiety is gone. Like my depression is gone. And I was like, so why do you think that is? And he was like, I'm doing what I want to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised, man. I am not surprised that you don't have this anxiety anymore. And I'm not surprised that you're not depressed. So many people, I think, if they are honest with themselves, it is one of those two things: not facing a past experience you've had, or not facing your current experience and realizing that it's out of alignment.
Yeah. And doing something about it. You know, I mean, if you really look at the way the world is right now, we have been taught and trained for hundreds of years to numb it, dumb it, drug it, shove it under the carpet, Netflix it, social media, do it, anything you can possibly do to not feel your feelings. And the thing is that your superpower as a human being is the ability to feel your feelings. So,
that's so true.
Feel your fucking feelings and your life gets better.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And I know it's hard. I am addicted to social media. I will fully admit that right now. And I have to consciously choose multiple times a day, including with my fiancé, to get off of Facebook. It's so easy to just pick up your phone, and pretty soon you're like scrolling away. Put the phone down. And even if sometimes you have to choose 100 times a day, so long as you keep choosing it, your life is going to exponentially improve. It's not about sometimes it's about picking up and moving to Indonesia and changing your whole life. But most of the time, it's these little incremental things of every time you notice yourself scrolling social media and checking out, put the phone down. Every time you notice that you're watching just one more episode on Netflix, put the remote down and go for a walk. It's those little incremental choices that makes all the difference in the world. And all you have to do is remember my superpower. We all want to be superheroes, right? Well, we are, because we can feel our fucking feelings.
Yeah. Cindy, this was a great conversation. Seriously, I feel like we could probably talk for another 2 or 3 hours.
Right?
But I am on a time clock today. So Cindy, I really, really appreciate you coming on. I feel like some of the topics that we talked about today, I would like to talk about more with some of my guests. We talk a lot about like personal development and things like that, but I think exploring some of these topics that people are kind of afraid to talk about are good, right? It's good. And again, I think it's important to repeat that, like, this is not us coming from a place of like, we know better than everyone, you need to listen to us.
God, no.
It is, hey, this is what our experience has been, and this is the opinion and belief that we've formed from that experience. And if it's helpful to you, great. If it's not, cool, just keep living your life. That's fine. but I'm still going to do it. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I know what's best for me. And that's what that's where I speak from, is I know what's best for me. And if that resonates with you, awesome. And if it doesn't, awesome.
Yep, exactly. So Cindy, anybody listening, if they want to connect with you, how would they do so?
Well, somebody once told me that you've made it when you can be Googled, and you can find, Google me. Or I'm all over social media, obviously, because I have an addiction. Or you can find me on my website at fullblastcoaching.com.
Awesome. Cindy, thanks again so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with someone who'd appreciate it. For everything I have to offer, visit howtobeaperson.co.